Like many of you, I've got one of these. It's an upgraded K&N Air filter. Now, as you might be able to see, it's pretty grimy. The beauty of these K&N Air filters, other than their high flow and slightly performance orientated, is instead of replacing them, you clean them. And I'd like to hope so, knowing the price of them as well. So what I'm doing in this video, I've got this all the way from Germany, as you can tell by the writing on it, because it was cheap. And I'm going to clean the air filter before it goes back in the bike. So join me if you're interested. So welcome to my purpose-built filter cleaning room, known as my kitchen. So I've got my K&N Power Clean Luftfilterreiniger. Luftfilterreiniger. Is that German enough? I don't know. I think that loosely translates to air filter cleaner. I don't think you really need this. This whole kit itself was about £15 on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description if you're interested. The cleaner's not the important part. I think I'm going to use a little bit of this, and I'm also going to use just some fairy liquid in warm water to clean mine. I think the part that is important is the re-oiling. Now with my bottle of Luftfilteröl, I'm so good at this. This is the oil, so you have to re-oil it after you clean it, and the reason for that is the oil is the thing that traps the dirt. Some people use WD-40, some people use others, but I think if you're going to bother spending the money on the air filter, you may as well spend the money and get the cleaning kit as well, because this is going to last a while. These filters are sort of 40-50 quid depending where you're buying them from, so as opposed to a standard paper filter which might be £8, you're investing quite a bit anyway. You may as well get the proper oil, in my opinion. So let's get cleaning it. So just for reference, here is my filter. So this is, you can see it's quite grimy. This pinky colour is the colour it's meant to be, and then you can see down the bottom it's turning a bit sooty and dirty. If you look inside, I don't know if you'll be able to see in there, but it's also pretty grimy, like down the bottom primarily, so that's what we're trying to get out. What I have here is super duper high-tech cleaner, very liquid. So I will be using this afterwards to give it a really good clean. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take my Luftfilterreiniger. I'm going to get so many German people complaining about this. I'm going to take my air filter cleaner, I'm going to spritz it on this and leave that to soak for about 15 minutes. But the one thing I'm going to make sure is that I do not let it dry. Here's an in-depth method on how to shake. This action can also be useful for other purposes. So I'm literally just going to saturate this all the way around and keep making really weird duck noises every time I do it. Now one thing you have to make sure when you do this is you have plenty of time for this to dry. This needs to air dry. You shouldn't really be using any hair dryers or anything like that. Realistically, it needs to air dry. And then I'm also going to give it a spritz on the inside. The duck noises are code for this is really good cleaner. But yeah, I'm going to leave that for about 15 minutes just to soak in, and then I'll come back to it and give it a rinse through. Some time has elapsed. This is the filter. I don't know if you can see it. It's actually, I mean, it's obviously dripping quite a lot, but it's actually starting to look a lot cleaner already without even agitating it or anything. Some people say agitate this, some people say don't. I'm not going to bother because I think it shouldn't need scrubbing. I don't want to risk, there's a really fine mesh on this, so I don't really want to risk ruining that. So depending on your bike, the air might be going in here and then out through here, or it might be going in through the outside and out through here. Mine has an intake and then it goes into here, then the air comes out into the engine. So I'm going to rinse this from this way out. And the reason for that is because all the dirt particles should be on the inside, because that's where they're sucked through. So there shouldn't actually be anything on the outside. So the pink that was on there is the oil. So you can actually see that coming out. I'll probably speed this bit of the footage up because it's quite dull. Just give it a bit of a shake to loosen up any of the remaining dirt. Now what you can do with this to get most of the water out is shake it out. If you've got an air compressor, you can use the nozzle just to blow it out. Basically get most of the water out. And then what you want to do after that is you leave it overnight. You leave it in the sun until it's bone dry. Once it is bone dry, then you can oil it. The reason you leave it to be bone dry, obviously water and oil don't mix. So if you apply it when it's still wet, the oil will not soak into the filter, and then it's basically redundant. Just for reference, this is mostly full. So you're gonna get a good 2 or 3 cleans out of this, which is really good. It makes it worth it. So we're dry. As you can probably tell, because I'm wearing the same t-shirt, it's the same day. However, this has been out in the sun for a good 3 or 4 hours at least. I blew it out with the air compressor. It was pretty much bone dry at that point, and then I've just left it in the sun for a couple of hours. As you can see, it's actually like a grey colour. Now, most people know the K&N filters being a pinky, sort of purpley hue colour. That's the oil. So when you're oiling it, you'll be able to see where you have and haven't done, which is good. You need to really do it in a well-ventilated area. I'm going to do it in here just because it's easier and I haven't cut the grass, so you lot can't judge me. But my garage is pretty well ventilated. I'll get the door open as well. You can see where the oil is and where the oil has not been yet. So I'm going to work around this and then we're good to go. You should only have to do one side of this because obviously this is the side where it's breathing in. However, I'm going to do both because obviously, like I said before, my intake goes in and it comes out. Obviously I'm going to wipe off the excess on this, but I'm going to let this air dry. You obviously don't want to be completely saturated, but you want it to be oily enough that it's going to actually stop the harmful particles getting into your engine. So there you go. That's how I clean and re-oil my K&N air filter. Hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any questions, stick them in the comment section below. Subscribe if that's something you're into, and I will see you in the next one.